Hey ho, let's go. I'm 2 seconds late. So we hit the midway point of the current week. One more scoring period to go in the 2024 MLB regular season. Is there a player or two lurking in the bushes that can help you deliver a championship? Strategy. It's time to cut ties with the guys you might have an emotional attachment with in the interest of winnings. You might have some strange decisions coming up next week. So we're going to talk about that, Mike and I, in addition to our who's not, who's hot and who's not, go get them, cut them segments. But before we begin, we always start the show by asking you the question, where else would you rather be than right here? Boom! Right now. You are looking live at our split studios. This is Fantasy Baseball Now, episode 9. This is part of the Ball9.com podcast network. 70 years of fantasy baseball experiences. Mike and I are here to talk about Major League Baseball with a fantasy baseball spin. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, dead air is it's like communications 101. Never have dead air.
No.
But though there are those of you that watch us that would say that it's dead air for 50 something minutes anyway. So maybe it's foreshadowing for what this is going to be like. Hey, how about a little shout out to our Orioles friends? Boogers, Jim Jubb, Willie, Sean. Sean got on the bandwagon and now they can't win. Now they're allergic to winning because you know why? Because they choked.
I'm not there yet.
Here's a master plan. If I go back like 8 weeks and said just cut Dean Kramer, just cut him. Let's pitch him against the Giants who are playing for nothing, and let's just let them get lit up because why not? They missed me on the injuries. I don't want to hear it.
No, I'm not on the Orioles till next year. Next year.
But my assault starts now.
That's fine.
What are you leaving yourself an out to change your mind?
Maybe. On top of these topics I already discussed, that's our closing 5 segment. Mike's laughing now. He won't be when I'm done with that.
Oh, here we go.
Feel free to offer comments during the show. I'll be happy to address them as we roll along through the evening. So
there's not to curse tonight, but you're already setting me up.
So we got about 11 days left. Lineups are all locked for the week. Strategy for the last week. Do you need saves? Do you start to play them? And look, there's a caveat on this. I was eliminated in the head-to-head playoffs last week. I would have lost anyway for 2 reasons. One, Ozzie Beto, the A's invented an injury just to screw me and cost me 2 starts. But I played numbers, I played stats and categories. I went with Connor Norby with 7 games, red hot for the Marlins, gave me 0 points for the week. Benched Eugenio Suarez, who's just been on fire because he only had 5 games. It made sense at the time. He only had 22 head-to-head points in those 5 games, and I was dismissed from the playoffs.
Yeah, that was Connor Norby was who's hot last week. That didn't work out so well.
He was almost on my who's not list tonight, just out of
Eugenio Suarez. This is 2 weeks in a row we've talked about him. It's an enigma. Like the guy's got 97 RBIs.
Yep.
He's having a typical Eugenio Suarez year. And we will do our rankings. We'll do position by position rankings as we go through the off season. Like everybody sleeps on the guy, and he's just like consistently puts up the numbers that he puts up.
Don't go too much.
And in that lineup, you're bound to drive runs in just by being in the lineup.
Don't go too hot on him. He's my who's hot guy just because I'm pissed I got beat. So what's the strategy if you're in it? And we're both. I'm actually battling for second place with Battlefield Bob here in our league. I'm just playing my best guys. I tried the category thing; it didn't work. I've gotten back on my feet since just playing my best players, but.
Yeah, I'm looking at hockey depth charts in the NBA Top 100 right now. If that tells you where I am in 3 leagues. Yeah, this is a crazy week, right? So part of, like as Sean said, how many games do players have? Are they going to play every day?
Yep.
Are you chasing, like, does one in Roto, is it one or two categories? If I can pick up a point in batting average and a point in RBIs or a point in run score and a point in stolen bases, does that help me manipulate my lineup? Do I bench all my starters because I'm in a dogfight for ERA and WHIP, and I'm going to go to relievers for next week just to get as few innings as humanly possible, or activate guys off the IL and act? I mean, all kinds of crazy roster manipulation happens in Roto right now. And then head to head, I mean, you got to take a long, hard look at the other team.
Yeah.
And if you're in a category based head to head, which is my National League only league, I'm just going to give up stolen bases, for example, and I'm going to win homers, RBIs, and run score. Like you got to, like, because now I'm up 3-1, right? So but in head to head's the same thing. I need every 2-start pitcher I can possibly find. And if you're not in a dynasty league, I'm just going to cut. I mean, I'm going to cut guys that are going to shock people, but I'm going to pick up 4 2-start pitchers, whether they're advisable or not, because I need to get as many points out of my starters as I possibly can next week. And if you're not roster locked like we are, where you have to have 2 relievers and 2 starters, you may load up on starters, or you may load up on relievers, because if I get saves are tight in every league. It doesn't make any difference whether it's Roto or head to head. And maybe I just find every possible closer. Like maybe I go get anybody that might get a save this week and just throw them in there and see if I can steal a point here and a point there just to make a difference. Because you can't look at you can't look at other teams that are in front of you and think, well, they're going to have a bad week. They're going to have a bad week. Because clearly they're not, because they wouldn't be in front of you if that was the case. Head-to-head's totally different. The slate's wiped clean every Sunday night, and off you go.
Here's the problem. So we have a head-to-head league where the top seed went 20-2 this year.
Yeah.
Right? I talked to him earlier in the week. He was projected to be the underdog because of matchups. The team he was playing had more starts and everything. So he did what I would have done. You go out and grab a player or two that's going to go 2 starts or take someone off your bench. And he did that. And with the 2 starts he got from Joey Estes and Angel Suarez netted him a minus 22 points. There's a danger in doing that.
Yeah.
Bailey Ober's picking that back up for him tonight. But here's the problem. Because I did it all year, good and bad. You're picking up guys that aren't rostered. That tells you they're probably not very good.
It's September.
Yeah. And so you can play the percentages all you want, but it could blow up on you too. And right now I'm heading into the off season in both my leagues saying, stop messing, just play your best players. But you got to manage categories. It just didn't work out for me this year in both leagues.
It's a totally different animal in head to head. It's a totally different animal in head to head, because offensively, you don't even need to, you put your best lineup in every week and whatever happens. But pitching matchups and the number of innings that pitchers are going to pitch and the opportunities that they're going to get for saves or for holds, if you have holds as a category, really matter in head to head. They matter a lot. And you spend an inordinate amount of time focused on pitching categories if you've built a lineup that you're comfortable with and you avoid injuries, all the if stuff. But pitching, I can't tell you how many games I gave away in head to head because all of a sudden somebody missed a start.
Yeah.
Or they were supposed to get 2 when they got 1, or they were supposed to get 1 and it was a terrible matchup and they ended up shuffling the rotation and they got 2 when they were on my bench, and they would have given me, 45 or 50 points because I thought a 2-start guy going against the White Sox and the Guardians were going to give me more points. And the White Sox decided that was one of the 36 times they were going to actually show up.
Yep. Amazing. Couple guys. Okay. So here's the other problem. And you said it right. You also got to take in the account of if you have a starter set to go. Let's say he's on a playoff team. Are they going to go let him go 4 or 5 innings and then get him out of there, get him a little work, get ready for the playoffs, especially if they don't get the bye? Or are you better off going like a guy I would love next week if I was still in one would be a guy like Rhett Lauder. The Reds are not pushing for the playoffs.
Right.
He's been great since he came up. He's going to most likely scheduled to go this Saturday against Pittsburgh. He'll probably pitch the following weekend against the Cubs. They're not going to restrict him that day. They're going to let him go pitch, right? So you can find a diamond in the rough that way. Or
Right.
any Tiger hitter available to you, Kerry Carpenter. They got the White Sox.
Matt Vierling, pick one.
They got the White Sox next weekend coming in, and the Tigers are trying to push for a playoff. So it's a good team to go look at, to go grab somebody.
Yeah, like Hunter. Like conversely, for the Reds, Hunter Green is going to pitch on Sunday.
Yeah.
What's he going to go? 2 innings? 3? And then they're going to give him one more start just to make sure he's okay. And what are you going to get out of him? Jacob deGrom. What are you going to get out of Jacob deGrom? You're going to get like they're done. I think they just want to make sure he can pitch 4 innings without getting hurt. Scherzer, like all these guys that would be studs at the end, like that you've been holding on to on your injured list, or you go grab because you didn't have room, because you had guys that got lost for the season like Strider or Acuna, and you didn't have room for them. You go out and grab them. What are they going to give you, right? Are you better off? Are you better off with 6 hopefully good innings out of a starter that might also get you a win in a category and get you a few more strikeouts, or 3 innings out of a guy because he's not going to hurt you?
Yep.
Head to head, that can't be a strategy. That he's not going to hurt me thing can't be a strategy in head to head. Like 12 pitching points if 30 are available, like that could lose you the matchup and lose you the league.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You brought up deGrom. Let's go off on a tangent here for a second. So I was talking with a fellow owner today. I got a few guys I'm going to try and trade in the offseason and recoup all the draft choices I traded. So I said I don't want to name names, big man in Massachusetts. I said, well, Skubal is available. I'm going to want a couple picks. And he goes, I think I'm good. I'm going to save deGrom. I'm like,
no, man.
What? He goes, well, when he's healthy, he's the best pitcher in the game. Like, what?
My aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Yes. So,
I mean, really, when he's healthy.
Okay.
He's as good as there is when he's healthy.
But
he's a Hall of Fame pitcher when he's healthy.
But you can't say that anymore because you don't know what he's like when he's healthy anymore.
Is he 35 years old?
I'll look that up, but
I will look that up. He is. He's not 20.
No, 36.
He's 36 years old.
Yeah,
I know he's only pitched like he's only got enough innings in him like a 25-year-old. But I mean, he's 36.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, he's 30. I mean, he's still getting paid. They're going to count on him for next year for sure. Like, would I keep him in a dynasty league? Yeah, if my roster was 40, I would. But if we're saving 5, I'm looking at me with Hunter Green, Garrett Cole, Blake Snell, and Paul Skeens and saying, which one of those 4 guys can I get?
Yep.
Before I save all 4 of them, which is right now what I'm doing. A dangerous move for a team that had no offense this year to go into next season with 4 starters as keepers.
That's okay.
But Blake Snell's ridiculous.
Someone's got to finish 9th. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, it'll be the Boogers next year.
Let's hope so.
That's the way this league works. You win,
sure.
and then you win, then you drop, and then you win, then you drop, and you win, and you drop.
Sink like a stone.
All
right.
Stone.
You ready to go for who's hot and who's not?
I am. So I mentioned this guy in a production meeting to you 3 weeks ago. Seiya Suzuki. So all he's done in his last 30 games hit 330 with 4 homers, 11 RBIs, 18 runs, and 5 stolen bases. Now he is heavily rostered, but I mean, they're still scratching and clawing. Like they're not dead yet.
They just lost 2 out of 3 to the A's, though.
They lost
hard
today.
to do. Yeah. Well, the A's are playing well, but you got to win those games.
I know. I can't believe that was in a same sentence. But they are playing well. But I mean, he's been tearing it up. And then conversely, despite the fact that he's got 4 homers and 11 RBIs, one of those was a 6 RBI game. I mean, Rhys Hoskins in his last 30 days, he's hitting 138.
Wow.
And thankfully for the Brewers, they don't really need him. Like if they were to find a way to grind out a win tonight against the Phillies, they're going to clinch a playoff spot. But he's still 48% started in CBS. Like, I don't know how you start him right now.
That's insane.
I don't know how you start him right now. And going into next week, if you're playing for anything, I don't know how you start him. I mean, I know he's streaky, but my gosh, he's how about no? How about we sit him down?
All right. Hold on. I'm changing mine. Give me a second.
You're changing yours.
Well, yeah, because we already talked about Suarez. So I don't want to put him on there.
We like him. He's becoming the new Seth Lugo.
Yeah, right. I'm going to put Randall Grichuk there. He's only hitting 455 in his last 21. And, he's another guy you go grab for a week. The D-backs are pushing toward the playoffs. They got the Giants and the Padres next week. Big game, certainly against the Padres. It's on fire. You can't argue with it. And who's not? Jackson Holiday. Look, I'll be on board. I'll drink the Kool-Aid next year. But right now, you got to live for 2025 with him. Get him on your bench. His last 21, a robust 154 average, no homers, 2 RBIs, 52 at bats. It's not like he's not playing. He's just not hitting. Again, second go around.
I was just going to say that. That's twice with him.
Yep.
That's twice with him. And for as good as they've been, as really good as they've been at managing these guys coming up, they might be rushing him. They might be rushing him. Like he might need a ton of spring training at bats. Let's see where he really is. Let's go send him back down to AAA. Let him be Kjerstad and tear it up. Let him be Norby. He might not be. He might. I mean, I don't know. I mean, thankfully for them, I root for him because I hope he's really good and his brother's going to be a top pick next year. I root for him. I hope he's going to be really good because I was always a big Matt Holliday fan. But they're so loaded at middle infield in that organization that, I mean, he may end up being the odd man out as they evaluate what they need to do going into next year. Unless they move him and say, you're going to learn how to play third base, and that's the way it's going to be.
Maybe.
And then you got to go to AAA and figure it out until you're a good third baseman, and we'll bring you back up.
All right, so the go get him. I'm looking forward to this first one from you because he began his pro career here in the Capital District at the Tri-City Valley Cats.
Yeah, plus there's a great story with this, right?
Yeah,
and I always appreciate when organizations do the right thing for their employees. And so Kumar Rocker, if you're in a dynasty league, and if you're in a deep dynasty league, he's on somebody's roster already. If you're in a dynasty league, he's worth going and picking up. I mean, he only went 4 innings in his first start. He had 7 strikeouts. His curveball's phenomenal. His curveball is phenomenal. It's much like I said about Jackson Jobe last week. Like, let's go get these kids that could be really, really good. The great story of the week is his dad, Tracy Rocker, played in the NFL for a long time. He's a coach on the Titans staff, and the owner of the Titans chartered a private plane and flew him and his wife to Seattle
Really?
midweek to go watch his first major league start.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's a great. That's the kind of stuff that, like, for as much as like the Titans are the Titans, but like that shows you that you're playing for a great owner when an owner gets that thing, like understands how important that is.
Yeah.
And the Adams family's always not the TV show, but the Titans ownership group family. They've always got that. And to cut him, this one hurts me a lot.
Yeah, you kept him. Now
I did.
Thought I'd remind you of that.
I did. You didn't have to, because when I wrote his name down, I literally threw up in my mouth.
Yeah.
I know he's been injured. I know that he's kind of struggled physically this year, but he might have been a flash. He might have been Mike Vail. You know what I mean? He could have been that guy.
Oh, Charbonneau.
He could have been. He got called up. He was all that, and now he's still 45% owned and 17% started. I don't know why 17% started by anybody on CBS, because he's only playing every third day.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's hitting 210. The strikeout rate's 35%. That's not good. And I mean, it could be a bad year and he still could be a good player. But he hurt me enough this year that, like, I'm cutting him, and he, going back 3 weeks where we talk about the never again list, he is dangerously close to going into the pool of never again. He's about to replace Jay Buhner as my never again, and he's a local kid, so that he's even hurts even a little bit more. But like he no, Nolan Jones, no, sorry, and certainly for next week, no. Nope. He is not going to help you next week if you're trying to win. No.
6 games at home.
Got him.
6 games at home. Maybe put him in your lineup. He has a big week. You can keep him again.
Yeah, but he might only play 3 of those 6 games.
No. Take the chance. Take the chance. All right. Hey, better late than never. Tommy Edman barely played this year, 26 games, but 5 homers, 15 RBIs, 14 runs, 5 steals. He's doing all those things that almost had him at keeper level, at least consideration, not long ago.
3 years ago.
Yep. Yeah, he was a first-round pick in our league 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, before he got hurt.
Yep. Before he got hurt. You know, he might be the right guy at the right time for the Dodgers, you know, and cut Gavin Lux. He sits all the time. He's ranked 648th in the last 21 days. He's not getting his playing time. Yeah, Edman's your guy, and he's another guy. You want to go get a guy for one more week that's playing really well?
Yeah,
well, there you go. So,
yeah, good fit there. Gavin Lux might be the one of the very few prospects that they whiffed on.
Yeah, the injury hurt when he missed
the ACL was a disaster.
He wasn't getting it done before he got hurt.
No, and then he couldn't make a throw from shortstop, and they had to put Mookie at shortstop. Then they had to make a trade, and I mean, him and Outman were supposed to be the next 2 guys that were coming up to save that organization, and neither of them. I mean, Outman,
nothing.
He can't stay in the big leagues.
All right.
They're so deep, but they're so loaded that they just, they bring up Andy Pages instead, and
they'll survive.
Outman's out. They'll figure it, and they'll spend another $148 million on.
All right.
Take a swing at Soto.
Closing 5. You guys got to get Soto signed.
Oh, please.
Got to get him signed.
I'll end with a little tidbit on him.
So I'm tracking baseball the other day. Then when you're a fan of a team and you have your ace, your bulldog, your alpha male, you give them the ball, you go toe the rubber, go get guys out, knock Garrett Cole. I'm going to hit a guy. And then when he comes up again, because he just owns me, I'm going to walk him intentionally. His first intentional walk as a Yankee, and the first one since 2017 with Pittsburgh? Intentional walk to Rafael Devers, his daddy. Fourth inning of the game, nobody on base, no score. How do you trust Garrett Cole with the ball in the playoffs when he's got no compete in him? To just wave him over and say, I don't want any part, no mas, Roberto Duran. I don't want any part of you. I'm enjoying this. You're
a little too much.
Him, huh?
You're enjoying this a little too much.
Oh, I really am. How are you going to count on him in the postseason? You go, you know what? This guy's just a little too tough for me. Let's just go put him on first base. Let's give him a nice walk. We're not even going to just go. Just take the base. It's better than the better than the home run you're going to hit off of me anyway. Sorry I hit you before. That's your ace. Would Bob Gibson ever do that?
Do you have 4 more of these?
No, this is my favorite one. I do have 4 more to go, and I violated our time constraints measure. That's why I hurried you along in the first segment, just to get to this. Yeah. So I will let you respond now, and then I'll get to
no. We'll do them all.
Okay.
We'll do them all. I'm not going to respond now.
Okay.
I mean, told you I'm going to try to get through. Maybe this will calm me down, and I won't curse. But
okay,
I am going to. I'm cursing. I'm just telling.
So the Tigers, I'm rooting for the Tigers. I want to see them in the playoffs. I've become a big Skubal fan all year since I got him. He's tonight 4 innings, 3 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts, 1 run. They're leading the Royals. They're a game and a half behind the Twins. Is it me? I'm tired of seeing the Twins make the playoffs. They don't make it every year, but when they do, they just turtle like Garrett Cole when he sees Rafael Devers in the on deck circle. Okay, next. Atlanta. Part of me will give them credit for only being 2 games out in the wild card. No Acuna. They missed Austin Riley, and when he was healthy, he sucked. Albies have been hurt. Strider's missed pretty much the whole year. Matt Olson just has underachieved. The season, I think mercifully I want the Braves to miss the playoffs just to get it over with, because they have just been snake bitten. Although I still think that they should have been able to overcome it all. They've not. But yeah, Atlanta, we'll see you in spring training. And speaking of guys not competing, I think the Angels need to build in more PTO, personal time off, for some of their players. Thank God Anthony Rendon was put on the DL on September 10th. How much more can one man take? He played 57 games this year. That's 1 away from his high for the Angels of 58 in 2021, which is most since 2019. The poor guy had to be away from his family 57 times. And he was merely compensated $38,571,428 this year for his work. Thankfully, they just put him on the IL, because that's just it. You're asking way too much of Mr. Rendon. The dude needs more time away. And in a serious note, appreciate the efforts of the Oakland Athletics players the last few years. It's been a clown show there with those idiots running that franchise. They've played in front of almost no fans. They're going to have a big sellout next Thursday there. And I would boycott too. But you know what? The A's players, you said it over a month ago, the difference between them and the White Sox is the A's players are playing hard. They're playing with pride and for love of the game. The White Sox mailed it in. So the A's could have done that given just how awful the situation was there. But you got to give them props, and it's been a great run with the A's. So
you're done?
Yeah, we can go back to the man up.
I'm going to go reverse. I'm going to go reverse order.
Okay.
I'm going to go reverse order. So, yes, props to the A's player. Loris Butler has 20 home runs since July 1st.
Yes.
Brent Rooker is going to have the Hall of Fame season. He's hitting 304 after today.
Yep.
They've trotted a number of young pitchers out who have taken advantage of the opportunity, and they've been better than expected. I mean, Miller's started to falter a little bit, maybe few too many, maybe overused to a point, but they're playing hard, and Marcotte's got them playing good baseball. Yep. I mean, it's just there's no way around it. The over bet, you know, you had the Joe versus Carlin show on ESPN. They bet the over because Jeff Passan said take the over on the A's. They're going to be better than people think. He was right.
Yep.
So yeah, shout out to them. With all the chaos, the players have found a way to just play baseball. So, you know, good, really, honestly, good for them. So before that was the Braves, right?
No, Rendon.
No, Jesus Christ. So, as our friend, not Gaetti, would call him, Anthony Pay Theft. Like, are you kidding me with this guy? Like, you got to be kidding me with this guy.
He's got a family to think about.
There is none of us, the two of us and the gaggle of people that are watching this right now, that wouldn't trade whatever we do on a daily basis to feed our families for what he ended up with when he came from the Nationals to the Angels. And if nobody's more indicative of how inept the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are, it's him.
They're the Carolina Panthers of the
I get, they're allergic to pitching. We understand that. I get that. I mean, Albert Pujols, when they signed him, he was the best player in baseball.
Yeah.
And it was a move that, that the length of the contract killed him, but because you weren't going to get the last 4 years of that deal were going to be what they ended up being. You can't predict the Trout injuries. You can't fuck up the Ohtani thing any more than they did. They should have traded him.
Yep.
You just he is the epitome of the ineptness of that team. And for a team, I know preseason we both picked them to finish fourth because we both picked the A's to finish last. For them to be last in the West with the resources that are used on that team it's it's karma. It's you get what you get. When you don't know the game and you sign guys because of baseball card stats, you get what you get. And I mean, injuries are bad luck, but 58 games is a max. And we can't let him get to 58 games because he might file a grievance against us because that must be in his contract. They can only play 58 games a year.
That's a lot of times going to the office, though.
Boy, that's a lot of conversations with HR. That's too much time with HR.
He's got a Rolodex of reasons why he can't come in today.
Yeah. The
Haitians ate my dog.
My dog ate my car. My dog ate my dog. Like he's got them all, right? Everything but I sneezed and tore a rib cage muscle, the Glen Allen Hill. I saw spiders when I was sleeping and I fell out of bed and got hurt.
Sorry to go political. I just had to seize the opportunity.
He's had them all. So the Braves, I am still rooting for the Braves because the team that they're chasing, I want desperately to not make the playoffs, but they're playing so damn good right now that they're actually going to be a problem. They could be a problem like the Diamondbacks were last year going into the playoffs because they're the hottest team in the National League right now.
We're going to have to get some of these Met fans that you called out by name and insulted early in the year to at least comment on one of these shows to give them a little rebuttal.
Yeah, bring it on. I only got, 47 years of history on my side or whatever.
You did make a bet coming out of one of our shows, though, correct?
I did, and I think I'm losing it.
I think you lost it.
Yeah, well, whatever. Good summation of the year. It's a great summation of the year. And I was clouded by anger after what was your second one? What's your second one?
The Tigers.
Yeah, so how about the Tigers? So we both we were both on the should AJ Hinch get fired? Can he only
Yeah.
manage when there's cheating thing going on? The Tigers screwed up the Tigers' plans by being the Tigers. And do you think they wish they had Jack Flaherty right now to start
Yeah, no
game
kidding.
2 if they make the playoffs? The Twins can't get out of their own way.
No.
Like the Twins are imploding. The Twins are imploding. And when you have a manager that is Mr. Analytics, you can't analytic your way out of slumps. You can't do it. Like, players got to compete. They're not competing right now on any level. And they don't have like drastic injuries. I mean, have Ryan being out really hurts them, but the Tigers, I mean, like even Casey Mize last night, a great start. Foley's lights out as a closer right now. I mean, they are playing really good baseball. And it's good for kind of where the Royals were last year, where they finished the year very strong.
Yeah.
And that gave us, and then they made some nice, they spent a little money in the offseason to fill in the areas where they were deficient. I mean, they may be next year's Royals because they have great momentum going into next year, no matter what happens. But they are playing really good baseball right now. And now we go back to
Man up. 4. Take.
I was watching that game. I have never been more at a loss for words in a Yankee game than I was during that moment. And the post game didn't make me feel any better about what happened. I respect hitting them. Like, you can't get them out, just drill them. I like that. Like that. Let's go, man. That's like
Fine with that.
Old time hockey. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't think it was his decision. Because if Austin Wells didn't know anything about it, that means it was on the cuff. That was like an off the cuff conversation. Austin Wells didn't know anything about it. And if you're in a pregame, if you're like, here's what's going to happen, we're not going to let Devers beat us because he always beats us. And it's Cole, and it doesn't matter who's pitching. His numbers in Yankee Stadium are phenomenal. His numbers against the Yankees in general are phenomenal. I think that was an immediate decision, but I go back to that GIF that always shows up at some point, like Mike Mussina yelling at Joe Torre, stay in the dugout. Like, stay in the dugout. If you're $330 million a year and you're the ace and you're the voice of you're one of the voices of that team and you're a leader on that team, just pitch. Just pitch. And if he beats you, he beats you. But I have never been more like stunned at an event in it takes a lot from me, because you see so much over, watching them for 55 years. Like you see so much that you're like, oh God, like Luis Gonzalez. You see stuff that always makes you like, I can't believe I just saw that. I can't believe I saw that. I can't believe that actually happened. And his numbers against the Red Sox are atrocious. And it doesn't make any difference if he's a Yankee or if he's in Houston. His numbers against the Red Sox are atrocious. But to your point, I still have 100% confidence in him as a game 1 playoff starter. But
whose decision was?
If I'm an opponent, it gives me hope that I'm not going to get, and you're not going to, this year, you're not getting Cy Young Cole. He's still not there.
No, but he's gotten it together a little bit.
Well, before that started, 4 starts before that were phenomenal.
Yeah, he's been better.
So he's kind of worked himself back into a position where he's kind of Cy-ish young, but if you're the guy,
that can't be Boone's call, because you're showing up your ace if you do that. Cole had to have agreed with it.
Well,
he had to have.
So one thing about Garrett Cole, and the reason I liked him from when the Pirates drafted him, because Paul Skeens is a little like this too. He's a pro. And whether he agrees or not, he might not agree, but he's not going to show his manager up on the mound. And that would have been a time for him, if he did not agree with that, to go out of character and show his manager up on the mound.
Okay.
Or at least get into how about a little Reggie Billy brawl in the dugout? Like
Little brouhaha.
Little scuffle. Let's take this down the tunnel and have this conversation. But then he, of course, imploded after that, so he had nothing to say. So so here the flip side of this is, if he walks him intentionally, induces a double play, gets a strikeout, gets out of the inning, it's all good, right? We're still saying the same thing. Like, why is he walking in the fourth inning of a game that he kind of needs still? Like, you need them all right now. Like, you're trying to get stretch against the Orioles. You're trying to clinch a playoff spot. You're trying to win the division. You're trying to kill the Red Sox hopes of being in the postseason. But their bullpen's doing that for them. But it's baffling to me that even occurred. Like, I just can't wrap my head around. I can't wrap my head around it.
Did you know this was going to be in my closing five today?
I didn't. I should have anticipated it. My doctor told me last week I got to do things to get my blood pressure down. And
sorry.
I told her I was doing a podcast with you, and she goes, "Well, we're going to have to get you some new medication."
Yeah.
So
that's keep you alive. Keep you going.
But
right.
It's baffling to me. I can't. I don't even care whose call it is. Like, it's just like, it's so like alternate dimension thinking to me that would even happen. I get it. Like, if it was the 8th inning and it's a 2-1 game, I'm like, all right. And there's a runner on first. You know what? This guy's not beating us. I get
different.
That.
That's different.
I get that. But it's the 4th inning. You ground out a win the night before. You got good momentum. You're in their heads a little bit. And you basically gave away a game. And you can't give away games in Major League Baseball. You just can't. And it does, to your point, it does put in everybody they're going to play in the playoffs, it does put in their head, should we be afraid of Garrett Cole or should we not be afraid of Garrett Cole? And with that starting rotation, the only guy that's in that rotation right now that they could rely on to strike fear into an opponent is him. And to do that, that just sends a terrible message all the way around. It's just been and of course, you don't follow, you're not in the 8 bazillion people on Rep BX and Yankee Twitter that I'm on.
Oh, I love the hashtag Rep BX. I love tapping that thing.
Oh my God. Holy crap. And I mean, it's bad enough. It's bad enough that they want to DFA Anthony Volpe. It's bad enough. And they want to DFA Verdugo, who's only hitting .316 since August 1st. It's like, forget about all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in that same game, Volpe left 9 men in scoring position. Bases loaded twice.
Ouch.
Right, and that's a huge difference, right? That's a huge difference in where you are in a tight game versus being up 8-1, like they ended up being the next day.
In this house, we call him Never Again Volpe. Sorry.
I know. So speaking of the Yankees, I'm going to close with this because I already have anxiety and agita over the offseason, and we're not even in the offseason yet. We got a lot of baseball still to play for those of us that follow teams that are going to make the playoffs. Last night, Juan Soto homered against the Mariners, and at 25 years old, he's now homered in every stadium in Major League Baseball.
It's pretty good.
Not bad. And he hit his 200th home run last night.
pretty good too.
And he's the 8th youngest player in Major League Baseball history to hit 200 home runs. And he hit his 40th for the first time in his career.
He's going to look great in the Mets uniform next year. If you get new medicine, you might as well put it to good use. Just saying.
If they don't sign him, it will be the most egregious derelict of ownership in the history of that franchise. It won't even, it honestly won't even be close. I mean, if Jeter would have signed with the Red Sox, that would have been the one. But this is closing in on. And then on a side note, if I was facing the Yankees in the postseason and I got Glaber out, I'd walk Soto and Judge, and I'd make everybody else beat me. Those two guys wouldn't see a pitch. I mean, Soto's going to walk anyway, but which doesn't help in roto, but it helps in head-to-head because on-base percentage is usually a category in head-to-head. Like I saw the CBS rankings this week, and his swing in roto versus head-to-head, he's the number 9 player ranked in roto and the number 5 player ranked in head-to-head because on-base percentage is a category in head-to-head for the most part. That's what he does. And he's not stealing, but that's part and part because he hits in front of Judge and they want Judge to get pitches. They don't want him to get Soto to steal a base and then all of a sudden we're just going to walk him because first base is open. But he was my favorite player before they signed. He was my favorite non-Yankee before they signed him. And it wasn't even particularly close. I'm a huge Juan Soto fan. I've been since he was with the Nationals. The fact that he's actually playing on the team that I root for makes it even greater. I looked at the stats of Judge versus Soto to see if that was the reason that the Boogers had such a huge lead. They're not that different. They're not. I mean, it's the RBIs are more and the homers are more. I get like a 12 and 34 is a big number, but Soto scored more runs. I mean, they're not like that. That trade for me, that trade for next year and the year after and the year for that, no matter where he plays, worked out for me. And I bet on Judge getting hurt, which I can't believe I said that, but he's been phenomenal. But yeah, that dude, man, that home run last night actually took the stink out of my mouth from the walk on Saturday. It took a full week to get that friggin' stench. 5 days for that stench to get out of my mouth from watching that crap. Though he did still take 2 out of 3 from a team that has the 30th ranked bullpen in Major League Baseball.
There you go.
A team that we picked for 4th in the division. Did we pick 4th or last? Maybe it was back and forth. Maybe I picked them for 4th and you picked them for last, or back and forth. I mean, both had Tampa low and Toronto low, and I'll try to. I've been trying to scratch through that to see if we could get our actual, like what we said. I know we both picked Baltimore to win the division, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah. Hey, last note: if you need a closer, I missed the news earlier that Craig Kimbrell has been DFA'd. So.
Yeah. My comment to that today when our pal, 2 references for Atnot Gaetti, said this could this be the end for Craig Kimbrell? And my response was, some would argue June 20th was the end for Craig Kimbrell.
True. Very true. All right, my man.
Well, they're a mess, right? So like 1 minute on the Orioles, they're a mess, right? So they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. They're
going to make the playoffs. Corbin Burns is not going to be on that team next year. Somebody's going to pay him a lot. And maybe new ownership will. Maybe they'll keep him. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
I hope they do.
He could very well be a Met next year. They're going to make a move, and they're so injured in their rotation because I don't even know when Grayson Rodriguez is coming back. But their bullpen is such a disaster right now that as great as they were until August 1st, they could easily, they're imploding in front of our eyes right now, and they could undo all the fun that they built last year and the amazing start that they had this year, they could undo it in their fans' eyes. All 30 of them that show up on a regular basis.
31 starting next March, but they couldn't have screwed up the trade deadline any more than they did. They screwed it up.
But Zach Eflin hasn't been terrible. But Sir Anthony Dominguez?
No, but if Zach Eflin is your big guy, you
Sir
screwed it
Anthony
up.
Dominguez, like if the Phillies are willing to trade anybody out of their bullpen as quickly as they traded him for Austin Hayes,
Yeah.
that should tell you everything.
Yeah.
And the Phillies have been messing with their bullpen for 3 years. So that's 2 former Phillies, right? Craig Kimbrell, they couldn't get rid of him fast enough.
Yep.
You couldn't even close for him in the playoffs last year. They were using Alvarez. I saw a picture of Kimbrell on Twitter today with his crazy pre-wind-up stance. And it was Craig Kimbrell looking for beers in the refrigerator.
All right. Well, on that note, hey, we'll catch you all next week for the last week of the season. If you're still in it, good luck.
Yeah.
Go win a title.
And if you're not, get on your DraftKings or FanDuel account and look at college football this week. There's some great opportunity.
Tennessee, Oklahoma. That's USC, Michigan. Husker ball Friday night. Battle of unbeatens in the Big Ten.
Penn State laying 49 against Kent State. I'm thinking about betting Penn State.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Hey, watch it. Don't sleep on Tennessee. I think they might be the best team in the country. They're giving 7. Oklahoma's a 7-point dog at home.
Tennessee is very good.
They are very good.
Oklahoma can't score points.
No. Friday night, Huskers 400 straight sellout Memorial Stadium against the Illini.
Don't sleep on Illinois. Illinois is playing good football. Illinois.
No, it's going to be a tough game.
That's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a tough game.
Yep. No layup.
That is not a layup at all. And USC at Michigan this week, a Big Ten battle of all things. I mean, come on. That's Michigan's a mess, much to the delight of hundreds of thousands of college football fans.
It's true.
Much to the delight.
They can't cheat this year.
And meanwhile, their former coach had the line of the day today, as he has often, when he said they asked him about what was going on with Justin Herbert, and he said, much like Moses, I'm going to lean on my staff.
There you go.
He's the best.
He's a fraud. They're going to miss the playoffs.
He screwed that. He screwed that Michigan team over. He screwed Michigan over bad.
Yes, he did. All right, my man. We will see you next week.
Back at it. Episode 10 next week if they have us. I mean, I don't know why they would, but
who else would they rather have?
Hey, comment if you think that the 2 minutes of dead air were the best part of the show. Or 2 seconds of dead air.
It was 2 seconds.
Seemed longer.
It was 2 seconds. I was waving you on at first base.
Still looking for a producer. We're still looking for a producer.
Yeah. And we pay nothing. So there you go.
It's a full-time job, too.
All right. We're out.